Good morning, everyone. Today we'll start looking into a brief outline on a project on analyze the missing values. So I hope in the last class, which is an online session, I hope like everyone created their workspace and we're ready to create the cohorts and data set. So in this video recording session, so I would like to explain you on how to create the cohorts as well as how to create the data sets. Apart from that, I will also give you a brief outline on what we are working on the project and what we are going to do with the project. So this is a document which I just structured it for you to have a good understanding on what we were doing in this entire project. So so here when we come to the assigned reading and learning materials, so we have different assignments. So first assignment is to create a cohort and then we need to develop a database and then add a missing variables. So in order to create a cohort, it's very important to know like which cohort which we are taking for our study. So as already said in the last class, we are taking the entire population as our study, and excluding the children who are like under 11 years of their age. So for that, in order to create a cohort, you need to first go to the All of Us Research Workbench. So this is my workspace which I'm currently working on, and I think like you also have the workspace which you created last week. So just open it, and here when we open the page, we'll get the cohorts as well as the datasets part. So if we click on cohort, we can select the group of people or the group of cohort which we would like to work with. So which we would like to perform the analysis on. It might be anything. So last time we had a scenario like where we did the project by taking the conditions called people who are with like major depressive disorder, excluding the patients who don't like excluding the patients who have bipolar disorder. That's what we did for the last semester. But for now, for you guys, the project got updated and now we are taking all participants into consideration and just excluding the children who are like under age 11. So that's what it's mentioned even in the document very clear. You can see it over here, like including the entire population except children who were under 11. So to see whether like all of us has like from which age that the all of us is considered, we need to click on demographics as demographics has everything like age, ethnicity, race, sex at birth and everything. So we need to click on age. So we can see that the minimum age where like all of us has participants is from 18 years. So it itself shows that the people who were under 11 years were already excluded from our design cohort. So go back and here if you need to create any cohort, like as I said before, if we need to create any like if we need to include any participant, if we need to exclude any participants, we need to create cohorts over here. So we have different domains, we have different program data. Like if you want to include people with some age, like of certain age or of certain ethnicity or of certain race. So we can select over here and start doing the start building the cohort. So for example, let's say if we want to select Black or African American, we need to go to race and click on Black and African American. And then we have a thing called finish and review. We can see that the Black and African were selected, which is like 78,321. So click on finish and review. Once it's done, we can see in here add selected criteria to cohort. We can see race, Black or African American, which we selected as a part of our cohort. I'm just saying it as an example on how to create the cohort. Maybe it might need it for you if you do another like any other projects which are related to the all of us. But for our project, we don't require anything of this. We only require all participants, which I would be telling you in the future. So here, if we just, we can see that we selected the race Black or African and American and click Save Criteria over here. So once if we click Save Criteria over here, we can see that in the Include Participants group, we have race code which is showing 78,321. We can also see here in the visualization part where we choose Black or African Americans. And then if we click Create Cohort, we can name the cohort name, and that's like we can name cohort name as African, sorry, Africans Americans. And then if you click save, the cohort is created. But now I'm not doing this because this is not a part of our project. So I'm just canceling it. So this is how, if you want to create any cohort, we can do like this. So we can also choose the cohort based upon different conditions, procedures, drugs, and whatever if you want. So then, so coming to our project, so we need to select a cohort with all participants, right? So that's the first criteria. And as we saw in the previous part, the age was like from the minimum age where the participants are from 18 years, right? So we all it's already all of us excluded the patients who were under 11 years. So we can simply go to the data set, and we have the pre-packaged cohorts, like we have all participants. So click on that, with which we can select the cohort as all participants. So this is the first part of our framework, is to create the cohort in all of us. So I even clearly mentioned the screenshots showing the attachments on how to do the how to select the cohorts. So just kindly go through this document and review it. And then the next part is to define the unit of analysis. So this is very important in our study, because the unit of analysis is individuals. So we have independent variables as well as the dependent variables as well. So the independent variables are all the medications and all the conditions, whereas the dependent variables are conditions, medications, procedures, and antidepressant histories that are predictive of response to depression treatment. And the next step is to create data sets for the cohort. So we do not include any data like which is like non-EHR data or surveys. So next we'll start with creating the data sets. So which is the next steps for the missing value for analysis. So here the first part is to start creating the patient's demographic data. So why patient's demographic data is important is to, we have in demographics data, we have sex at birth and date of birth, which is important in our analysis. So date of birth is usually used to calculate the age, while as sex at birth is usually to determine which sex, like which sex is important. So as a part of a predictor. So let's go to all of us and look into how to create this cohort, like how to create the data sets for demographics. So as I said, that we are selecting the cohort as all participants. So select over here. And then in the concept sets, so first we need to create a concept set before the data set. So in the concept set, click on demographics. So if you click on demographics, here we can see a set of values where we can choose what we want and what we can exclude for our analysis part. So first deselect everything, because we don't need everything for our analysis. We just need person ID, uh, click on it, gender, and date of birth for age calculation. So, and as well as sex at birth. So these four things, just click on them, and here we can preview the data set. So like this is like a visualization of our data which we selected, like which variables we selected, it will show us. And based upon that and the values selected above, once complete, export for analysis. So here we can see that we selected the person ID, gender, date of birth, and sex at birth, right? And then we need to create a data set. So we need to name the data set as of, we can name anything, demographics data, and then click save. So once if done, we can start doing the analysis. So we can click on analyze, and here we need to select the programming languages as Python. And then we need to first create a Jupyter notebook. So if you don't have anything in the Jupyter notebook, so you guys were started with the analysis now, right? So you need to start creating a you need to click on the option called create a new Jupyter notebook, and kindly enter something like it might be any name, or it might be some experiments, or it might be like analysis, alliance missing values, or anything. So I have my own workspace called Kirti's experiments. So I'm just selecting into it and want to export into it directly. So if you click export, this entire code work will be going into my experiments part. So you can see the new, whatever the new data set is created, the entire code will be at the last of your experiments. So if you're doing it for the first time, it will be at the topmost part. But if you're doing in the old book, or if you're doing in the someone's like in the future, if you're doing something new, so it will be at the last of everything. So if it's a new book, it will be at the start only, but no need to worry. I'm just letting you know that uh, it would like to avoid any search or to avoid any confusions, it would be at the last of this. So here you can see the code, which shows us the data set which is created for the demographic data, including all the participants. So here we can see that we selected the person ID, gender concept, as well as date of birth, date of birth, and as well as sex at birth, right? So what we selected and the entire code displaying the data set. So here after that, if we click edit, so edit, it will show them something like this. So it will redirect us to the server. So here we'll get like this. So this is what the work which I've done for the previous part. I'll explain it to you guys. So now go to this last code. So I have this code over here, right? The same code I have it over here as well. So both are the same codes. Here I created the demographic data, and I just mentioned why it's important to uh, make myself like more understandable, like why I created this. So this is the same code. Like maybe the data sets might be different, but the same code, which I created earlier before the class. So if I run this, I just got this person ID, gender, date of birth. I just took all the variables earlier. So I'll again rerun the code, this code. So it's just like the same Jupyter notebook, like what we had learned. It seemed like that. So here we can see we selected only 4 columns, right? Person ID, gender, date of birth, and sex at birth, right? So we got all the columns and all the details which we want. So this is how we need to create the demographics data. For you, if you were unable to do it, we also have a code over here. It's the same code. You can directly, if you want, you can copy paste this code. So Control C, and if you just go to all of us, you know, right? If you want to create a new cell, you should need to click plus. So it will open up a new cell. Control V. So I'm just copy pasting the code from the document which I created. And if I click run, the same thing. So we got person ID, gender, date of birth, sex at birth, concept ID, and sex at birth. So we got everything. That's what. So this is how we need to create the demographic data. I also attached the screenshots showing the code and what we had obtained, and that's what how it's created. The demographic data set got created. So the next task is to create the diagnostic codes as well as the procedures data set as well as the diagnostic data sets. So for this, as I said in the first class, we need to start looking into the coefficient file. So, so this is the coefficients file which we have. So we have different columns. We have antidepressants, we have C group, C type. So C group is something like what groups we have in in this file. Like we have AA demographics, DXI like diagnostic inpatient, outpatient codes, and procedure and medication codes. And we have the types, like if it's a diagnostic codes, it would be ICD-9. If it's a PX code, it would be like CPT. So like that, RX, if it's like RX, it would be gen codes. So now I just want the DXI and DXO codes to create the diagnosis data sets. So I'm just filtering out with the DXO and DXI codes. I just only concern now I only have all the rows with all the diagnostic codes. So I only want two columns out of all of this. So one is code mapping, which is very important to enter the codes into the concept sets to retrieve the description from the all of us. So I'm copying this code mapping into another sheet. So we'll create one more sheet and need to copy the code mapping and then also copy the description from this. So copy this column as well. So I'm copying it in the column B. Now I'm just expanding it. I'm just clicking on Control A to ensure that I filter the data with no, like no, to remove the duplicates. So click OK. So you can see that 240 unique values got remained. So our diagnostic data set was done. So just clicking on controllers, you can just use split screen option and start going to all of us and enter all of these codes into the data sets. So I just open my workspace and then click data sets over here. So we need to create a new concept set for both the diagnostic codes as well as procedure codes and for medication codes as well. So for the diagnostic codes, we can see we don't have any diagnostic codes over here. So we don't have any diagnostic codes over here. So we need to go to place and we need to add the diagnostic codes. So diagnostic codes itself, like these are like conditions, right? So we need to go to conditions. And the thing is, when you observe the type of data, we can see this is the main data which we have. So we can see that there are all of like ICD type, right? So we need to click enable option in this so that it shows us the result in ICD-9 and ICD-10 version. So I suggest you to just split the screen so that it would be like a easy work for you to just copy paste the codes. So this is the sheet which we created, which we filtered all the duplicates and we got 240 rows out of it, right? So just copy this code and then paste it over here. And we can see that the description, just check out with the description and click add. So like this, you need to add all the 240 code mappings over here. And for now, I'm just showing you some different codes. So dermatophysis of the foot. And then if we have some codes like this, like 401, just click on Control C and Control V. Add point, period, and then 0 because like then we can easily get the description like malignant essential hypertension. And let's say this code 626. Just enter over here. I suggest you to add a 0 to it to see whether the description should match the code mapping. So that's the main thing over here. So absence of menstruation, just add it. So after I add all the 240 codes which were there in the reference file, click save concept set so that your concept set, which is the diagnostic code concept set, gets saved. So this is how we need to create the concept set. So choose existing set or create new set, go to create new set and add some name to it like DX codes like that and click save. Okay, so now I'm now saving it for now because I have too many uh, diagnostic codes saved in my workspace. So this is what you need to do. So for suppose if it's for procedures, we'll go back to our coefficients file and then just go back and now click deselect the DXI DXO codes, click on PX, apply. And now again, same thing, copy this description code as well as the mapping file into another sheet, filter them. After filtering them, we'll get something like this. We'll get 15 rows. So same thing, go to the all of us and then all of us, then click concept sets. So here procedures means labs and measurements, right? Go to the labs and measurements. So even procedures or CPT codes, right? So sorry, just give me a minute. Sorry, we need to go to procedures and click on this. We can see that we need to enable this option because we need to see it as a CPT code, right? So show results as source concept CPT. Please enable this option and then just click the screen and start copying it into all of those procedure codes over here. So you can see how many number of codes you copied over here and then click on save concept set. So I'll just show you 3, 4 like that on how to do 90801. Just copy it over here. You can see that it is like psychiatric diagnostic interview examination. Click plus so that your source concept gets so that the description gets added over here. So let's do another one. Again, just click Control C and Control V. So like this, you need to copy all the procedure codes. I'm just showing like 2 or 3, but you need to do everything. So psychotherapy with 45 minutes patients, just see, re-verify with the description over here. So we can see it's a psychotherapy 45 minutes with patient, click plus, and we can see we added 2 concepts. So like wise you need to do for all the 15 procedure codes you need to add and then click save concept set. So create new set and these are the procedure codes, right? So rename it as procedure codes and click save option. So this is what you need to do for both diagnostic and procedure codes. So after you save it like that, you can see all these concept codes over here. So right now I can see the DX codes and as well as I can see the procedure codes as well, which I created using all of these variables. So click all participants as a cohort in concept sets. We are now doing the data set for diagnostic codes. So click DX codes in concept sets and then just select all, deselect all and just select person ID because we need person ID, standard concept name, code and standard vocabulary. As well as we need also want to know about the source concept name, code and the source vocabulary. So for the diagnostic codes, we will be getting like four columns. So we'll get one will get the conditions. So and other will get the measurements. So same standard concept name, add the person ID, standard concept name, code, standard vocabulary, as well as the source concept name, source concept code, and source vocabulary. Next, go down, we'll have another table called observation. Same person ID, standard concept name, standard concept code, standard vocabulary, as well as the source concept name, source concept code, and source vocabulary. Then we'll get another table called person procedure. Same person ID, standard concept name, code, vocabulary, as well as source concept name, code, vocabulary, right? And then we can have an option over here called preview table to preview all these tables before we create a data set. So we have why this name and code, we need to see that which vocabulary it is using and vocabulary as well. We need to check whether the source vocabulary aligns with the one which we used it for the code mapping, right? So we need to even check that. So that's why we are adding all these columns into our data set. So even check with everything. So we have conditions, measurements, observation, and procedure table. So we have all the ICD-9 codes. We have all the ICD-9 codes over here. And in measurements also, we have all the ICD codes. So you may be wondering like, why do we have these procedure codes? So these procedure codes are like V codes, like the ICD-9 V codes, where it has it's like care involving other specified rehabilitation procedure and special investigations. These are all the like investigation procedures like routine general checkup. So these are all like the diagnostic type of procedures. So that's what it was being added over here. So in likewise, we have observation where like surveillance of the contraceptive pill comes under these diagnostic codes. In measurements also, we have few different things like laboratory examination unspecified comes under this diagnostic codes and all. So now we have an option called create dataset, and then just rename the dataset like whatever you want. So I just rename it as diagnostic underscore DF. DF represents data frame, and then click save. After you click save, you will have this analyze part. So click on analyze. As I told you, you need to create a new workbook. For suppose if you are creating a new workbook, let's say you created a workbook name called analyze missing values, you can directly click on here and choose that analyze missing values and then proceed with that. So mine is Kirti's experiment. So I'm selecting this. So Kirti's experiment and export so that this code directly gets exported into my work notebook so that I can run directly from there. Go down. As I said, this is my old workbook. So everything which I'm adding goes down. So this is my DX domain condition and was generated from all of us. So whatever I choose, I can view it over here and see this is like condition data set. This is measurement data set, and this is observation data set, and this is procedure data set. So all of this we got it from the diagnostic codes. So likewise, we even need to do the same thing for the procedures. And after that, the same thing like create data set, the same whatever you did with the diagnostic codes, create data set, and that's how I just did it over here. I'll show you the procedure codes. So it's over here. So this is my procedure code, which I did it only with the procedures. So I can see it over here that I have person ID, name, code, and the source concept code, which is similar to this the one which I have it in this Excel file also. So you can see that the standard concept name and the standard concept code, source concept name, so all the same. And just click on edit so that you can start running your code in your notebook. Wait for a minute till the server gets done. So here it's one important thing. We need to choose the cloud analysis environment. So as we were in the initial stage of our project, you can choose like 4 CPUs would be like good enough to run the program. But while you are going, like while you perform logistic regressions and lasso things, so you need a little bit large server, but I'll tell you when you require that. But for now, try to keep it as low as possible. 4 would be good and 15 RAM would be good to run on these programs. Why? Because like each and every time when you run, this is getting charged. So it's been almost charging 0.2 per hour, and when you pause it, it's like 0.01 per hour. So we can also, like just change this automatically pause after for 30 minutes or 8 hours. It's your choice. And that's it. So just click next. If you're changing anything, then the next option would be available. So if I'm changing this, the next option will be available so that the cost will increase. So how much I'm increasing the number of CPUs, you can see that the cost per hour is also getting increased. So, but right now, this is like an initial part of the analysis. We don't require a lot of server, like so more CPUs, like 4 would be a good enough to run and 15 would be better. So that's what. And then, sorry, click X. And now, so this is the notebook which we would be going to work on. This is my own notebook which I created. So I show you the procedure code, right? So we have the diagnostic codes at the end. So you will be getting at the start only. As it's for old notebook, it will be at the end for me. So I got this DX codes for both the conditions, measurements, observation, and procedures. I need to run everything, all of them. I need to run it. So just run, click on run, go to next, and then click run. Just proceed ahead, run. run. So here you can see that we got a person ID, standard concept name, code, all these columns we got, right? The source vocabulary, source concept code and everything. And over here we can see the same person ID, standard concept name, code, and all the V codes we got, and the source vocabulary as well. So if we run this as well, I forgot to run this, I'm sorry. So if we run this as well, we'll be getting all the person ID, standard concept name, code, like this. The same thing, if I run the procedures for I'll be getting all this. So this is what you need to do. You need to create the data sets for both diagnostics and procedure codes. So if you have any doubts, you can do it in this way. Like if you want to practice, you can start it from doing in the Excel file, like how I showed you. You can start working from that. Or if you feel like doing it on your own, that would be the best way to do it, like creating the data set from the start. Or else, to simplify some work, I just added the BigQuery code. So what do you mean by BigQuery code? It is nothing but the code which is shown over here. It would be the same for almost like everything. Like for almost if we add all the concepts set, the code would be the same thing. So just copy the code. So I clearly mentioned it as BigQuery code for diagnosis, which is measurement. I'm sorry, I'll just go a little bit up. So this is BigQuery code for diagnosis, which is conditions. So copy all this code and paste it in a one cell and run it. You will get these results. And then next code, you can see that I clearly kept all the screenshots showing the condition codes. And if I go down, I can see the diagnostic code. This is how you need to paste the entire code in one cell. And then you can see the results like this. And this is the BigQuery code for the diagnosis, which is measurement. So copy paste this code. So you can see the measurements table. And if you go down, you can see the entire code and the results as well. So this is the BigQuery code for diagnosis, observation. So copy the entire code and just paste it in one cell, run it. You will see the result like this. So everything is detailed and very structured in this particular workbook. So try to look into the code. You can directly copy paste it, or you can start from the core if you want to do, like it's your choice. So same, you can see the procedures and then you can start ahead, like copy the code in one cell and run it. So this is BigQuery code only for procedures, the PX codes, which I mean. So procedures, PX codes. Okay. So import pandas and just keep all the code into one cell, run it. You can see this as the result. So I'm just going into all of us and just going back. This is how you need to create whatever the data set is there. Just go to the data sets, select the cohort which you want over here, and then go to the down. So workspace concept sets which were already created will be at the down. So you need to choose whether you want the DX course, or if you want if you want to do the data set for PX course, it will be over here. So click on procedure course. So the same list of columns will appear over here. I'll deselect all and I'll choose whatever I want, like person ID, name, name, standard concept code, source concept name, source concept code, and then just view preview table. And then I'll just create data set over here. PX, let's save it and analyze. And just I will analyze it in my workspace and click export. So that's how you need to do it. So, and apart from that, so this is how I told you to create this environment, right? Environment is also very important because we only have $300 with our all of us, they will give some free $300 for us at the initial. So if we complete all those credits, we need to buy them. So I think like 300 is a lot. So if you run the program like carefully, like if you just pause it and if you run it carefully and keeping it in the low CPUs and low RAM range, it would be great. Like it would be definitely you won't be charged a lot. So if you're increasing the number of CPUs and doing a lot, it will be charging almost like 2.28 per hour, which is like huge, right? So whenever you're not using, keep it as low as possible and click next so that it will be like costing you as less as possible. So that's the thing. And second most important thing which I want to remind is to create few folders in the all of us. I'll just show you now how to create few folders, which is very important for us in this. So we need to make sure that these four folders were created in all of us. So first is the data. The data is very important because data sets and all the input files and output files that we process we need to store them into the data, into the folder called data. And output is like the folder which any file that needed to be extracted as output should comply with all of us policy and should be stored in this output file. And then checkpoint, we have another folder called, we need to create another folder called checkpoint. This is to ensure that the data to save the state of processing and allow for analysis resumption at a later time. So if you want to resume this even at the later time, this checkpoint helps us a lot to, you know, resume that from that point. We can directly click run on that on that folder and on that file, and we can start, you know, doing the process from there instead of running the program since the start. Checkpoint helps us to store it into a CSV file. From there, if we run it, so it would be better for us to save a lot of time. And then DB is like another folder which is very important for the internal database, to store the files for the internal database that we will be created. So I think it's taking a lot of time as I decrease this. I'll go over here for now. This is another workspace of mine. Just doing it because it's taking a lot of time. Open experiments, click on edit, and then don't know why it's taking a lot of time. So these are what you need to do for this diagnostic and procedure course. So I just outlined my code as brief as possible, like as descriptive as possible. But this document which I provided is also like too descriptive. It's your choice, like what you want to do. Whether if you want to copy the code, you could do it. Or if you want to practice on how to start creating the concept sets, also you can do it. Anything is fine. So now I'll just show you on how to create the folders in all of us. Click on file, click open. So here you can able to see this, all the files over here. So this is the place where you can create all the folders and view all the files. So click on new. In new, we can see text file, folder, and terminal. Click on folder. We'll have untitled folder one is created. Just rename it what you want. So if you want it to be renamed it to data, you can do that. Or if you want to rename it into DB, you can do that. It's your wish. So I'll just rename it, and you can see that these files are already I just already created all of these files. So this is what you need to do on apart from creating the data sets, you also need to create the folders. That helps us to easily, download the files, also just to import and export the files. So through the analysis, so we have some work to do. So that's what, and even the coefficients file I just listed over here in this workbook, which I would be going to share. It's there. So it's over here. We can just double click this to access the coefficient file. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any doubts, kindly uh, mail me at kresapo@gmu.edu.